The Polysaur. Betrayal and Armageddon.
The Polysaur, playing as Imperius, is up against 3 Elarion players, and thus, the threat of dragons flying in from every corner of the map. On the brighter side, a narrow river protects the Polysaur from any Polytaur rush. In addition, the Polysaur's tribe will be birthing giants, who come out of the womb 40 feet tall. Unlike dragons, who take a while to mature, perhaps the Polysaur's foes will be stomped out of existence before they can bring their dragons to bear. In this game, in addition to giant versus dragon mechanics, we'll observe nuanced betrayal tactics, more subtle forms of ally sabotage, and how intertribal conflicts can lead to neutral party profits. Speaking of conflict, the die appears all but cast by turn 2, as each Southern Elarion player sent a Polytaur towards the center of their shared landmass, giving each a powerful incentive to strike first. Then, on turn 3, the flames of war were further fanned by the discovery of a legendary swordsman, which must surely have given its new owner irresistible dreams of conquest. In hindsight, who struck first matters little, for the war will soon bring about both players' demise. Perhaps it was always fated to be so. Meanwhile, the northern half of the map is experiencing a veritable Pax Romana. The northern Elarion player accepted the imperial offer of peace, albeit for selfish reasons likely involving their plans to secure the map's only water ruin. The Imperial Polysaur's peace offensive continued as it ventured into southern territory to obtain new tribe discovery stars. Fortunately for the Polysaur, its staunch northern ally soon finds themselves on the losing side of a Polytaur face-off on the east edge of the map. Better still, its ally's loss of this initial skirmish forced it to use its ruin-discovered rammer ship against the southern tribe, instead of using it against the Polysaur, the only other seafaring tribe at this point. Even more fortuitously, the southern tribe's retaliation against northern Elarion's raft destroyed their attempt to obtain the game's first starfish. This allowed the Polysaur to gobble it up instead. In addition, that the rammer ship's attack forced it onto land enabled the Polysaur to secure the southern starfish. As for the northern starfish, the gluttonous Polysaur soon devours it too. The 30 stars gained from this seafood buffet were soon reinvested into the passive income streams known as embassies. The Polysaur felt comfortable establishing its first embassy in his northern ally's capital, mostly because it had been crippling his ally since both had ventured onto the seas, specifically, the Polysaur, by raft blocking his ally's ports, had continually forced the near-complete waste of the resources his ally had invested into water tech to get the rammer it ultimately decided to beach. In other words, the Polysaur did not feel threatened by his ally. But perhaps it should have felt threatened. Its ally would soon be presented an opportunity to decimate the Polysaur's forces. And, yet, as we will see, his ally passed up this opportunity, perhaps due, in part, to the goodwill engendered by the Polysaur's early embassy placement. By contrast, goodwill was sorely lacking in the south. 12 turns into the game, the southern Elarion tribe, who was battling both other Elarion tribes, foolishly declined the other southern tribe's peace offering. This meant it would not only continue the Archer versus warship battles on its northern border, but also that it would soon face the knights of its southern neighbor, and, perhaps unexpectedly, the Polysaur's quickly amassed bomber fleet. But perhaps the foolish Ilarion player should have expected retaliation by the Polysaur, since it repeatedly decided to deny Corner Tile Lighthouse access to the Polysaur. This ally sabotage, while the exact sort the Polysaur had itself been engaging in, helped push the Polysaur to the thought that it would be best to focus its treasury's attention on annihilating the Catty Corner Ilarion player, mostly because neither of its other allies, both at war with that same tribe, would very much mind that tribe's extermination, and might even continue viewing the growing Polysaur threat as a helpful force on the map, at least long enough for the Polysaur to make its next kill. By turn 16, a Southern Knight had ripped through its opponent's forces, only ending its carnage at the very far edge of the map. The remainder of those forces were wiped out by the Polysaur's bombing campaign, which was aided by the earth-shaking arrival of the game's first giant. Of course, because Imperia starts each game in a somewhat better economic position than Ilarion, the Polysaur was able to secure a giant before any of the other tribes were able to secure a dragon egg, and the starfish and embassy income helped out in this regard as well. It should also be noted that an early explorer informed the Polysaur of its relative isolation and thus safety, allowing it to avoid spending on military units, and to instead save stars for technology upgrades and city development. When this growth metastasized, terminating the Southeast tribe, the remaining players became nervous. They quickly allied with one another. The Northern tribe began building catapults and bombers, and the Southern tribe took to the seas, plus, it prepared to use its knights against the Polysaur. Perhaps the two could have defeated the Polysaur if the Polysaur's northern ally had struck the Polysaur sooner. However, largely unaware of the strength of the remaining southern tribe, the northern Ilarion player failed to break its truce with the Polysaur, even when doing so could have enabled it to do significant damage to the Polysaur's navy. Presumably, the northern tribe was hoping the Polysaur and the southern tribe would destroy each other, leaving them vulnerable to the northern player's dragons. The northern player may also have been unaware that the southern player's water advance would have constrained any post-truce break retreat of the Polysaur's navy. For the northern player, ignorance was far from bliss. Indeed, it resulted in an all-out Armageddon, as the Polysaur followed up its turn 21 betrayal, with a turn 22 unloading of its bombers onto the northern tribe's catapults, immediately after which it decimated the northern tribe's fledgling navy with a seaborne giant, and with a couple of additional bombers, for good measure. Meanwhile, thanks to the selfless sacrifice of the Polysaur's courageous soldiers, a couple of whom sacrificed their rafts to delay the arrival of the southern tribe's rammer ships, the Polysaur was able to turn its bombers, and another giant, and a catapult, on those same rammer ships, snuffing out any hope the southern player had of squeaking out a win against the Polysaur. This game clearly showed that endless warfare with one or two tribes can lead to one's own destruction. The southeastern tribe could have accepted the southwestern tribe's peace offering, potentially protecting it from both the southwestern tribe and the Polysaur. Instead it chose war, a choice it quickly came to regret. The Polysaur's peace offensive was a stark contrast to the southeastern player's unmitigated belligerence. Its treaties allowed for profitable exploration, starfish acquisition, and the establishment of embassies. However, this game also showed the importance of terminating peace without delay when necessary. The northern tribe paid a heavy price for doing otherwise. Another lesson can perhaps be learned for those looking to prey on their former allies. When considering which of several allies to attack first, consider attacking one which would leave the other tribes isolated from each other. This may impede their ability to muster a united and coordinated war effort against the aggressor. Also, even before one turns on one's allies, port blocking and other forms of sabotage, such as lighthouse blocking, can help stall the growth of competing powers. Though, it was also apparent that one must avoid any escalation from the annoyance of others into one's own obliteration. Finally, an early explorer, even when it reveals no other tribes, can be helpful. For example, here, the Polysaur used information so gained to develop its peace and early development plan, given the relative geographic isolation revealed by its explorer. If you see other takeaways from this game, please share your insights in the comments below. You can also comment below if you want to share a game you played with the Polysaur, who may even decide to share your game on this channel. Finally, comment below if you wish to challenge the Polysaur, despite the absolute foolishness of such a thought. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe now, or else the Polysaur will come for you.